Now, moving to our second Thinkathon session, Next Gen Talent Shortlisting and Interviewing Models, I'd like to welcome Vishwanath Raju, CEO and co-founder of PlugScale Innovation Labs. With 4 patents, best-selling books, and decades of HR leadership across Wells Fargo, Honeywell, DNB, and ANSR, Vishwanath brings unmatched expertise in global staffing and innovative assessment models. Vishwanath, over to you. Thank you.
Correct that it's only 2 decades, not decades. Okay. Okay. So I think it's important to set the context here. So whatever we are talking in the next 10 minutes is something that we have tested. Right? So we have not tested or we have not done something that we have not spoken to. So our focus was on shortlisting and interview. If AI is actually making job descriptions, AI is also making CVs. That was the first problem statement that we had. Authentic talent signals. There is a signal and there is a noise. Sometimes you confuse with noise to signal, signal to noise. That's the second problem. AI biased. Today morning, I saw my recruiter pick up 2 CVs straight away from Microsoft, and I saw 8 CVs only from Microsoft. The idea was that he liked that CVs and that's how he shortlisted those CVs, but then the engine behind it is starting to learn. So how do you do that? That's the third one. Skill gap for emerging tech. So I'm sure many of you are hearing that we have this role, but we don't have anybody to interview them. That's what we're talking about. Scalability and burnout. TA burnout, I think my friends spoke about it. 8 years, 10 years back, the role, whatever recruiters were actually playing, they're probably doing the same kind of work with little bit of AI, but then if they start using good amount of AI, I think that can solve the problem. Fatigue, we talked about it, right? Intelligence. So we also know that people can use intelligence to solve the question that is asked by the interviewer, right? Right? So how do we take care of that? And then finally, it's not about identifying the right person, right? The person has to also join you, right? So how do you ensure that from the day when the person is joined towards the person, from the day when the person was shortlisted towards the day when he joined, right? In general, many of my TA colleagues will say that experience has to be done very good in the interview process, but that's not the real answer. From the beginning, from the day when the first email goes to that person towards the last mile, which is the joining date, even after that is the experience. So these are the predominantly kind of problem statement that we picked up. So what we have done is there is a use case that people have to use their biometrics to even start the interview process, right? Now, can this be kind of cheated? Not pretty much, right? So that is the kind of solution. There are companies who are offering this solution today as we speak. Right? Talent signals. So what happens typically is that when you are looking at skills, you are only looking at skills. I'm looking at experience in terms of skills, attitude, and ability, and all that stuff. So what we need to look at is simulation-based interviews. So if you are given a situation, then the skill only becomes one element. If you are asking a skill-based question, then skill is the only question that you are asking. That's the answer. Do we have solutions? Answer is yes. Ethical compliance, I think there are many models. I'll not talk about it. Emerging tech. So there are new projects which are demanding new skills, right? New hiring managers. There are companies who can actually give you hiring leaders who can actually assess you based on your culture. So they will first understand not skills. They will understand your company. They'll understand your culture, then understand the skills that are needed to be hired. If they just go by skills, they might hire somebody, they might shortlist somebody that you might like, but he or she may not be culturally fit for you. Now I'm sure many of you will ask, is it cultural fitment or cultural ad? We'll not get there, right? That's a good conversation that we can get into. TA burnout, so if somebody was able to do 8 interviews per day, good quality interviews, if AI can do 2 interviews and he or she can actually scale that interview to do a next level of interviews, that's what we are talking about here. Intelligence limitations, so there are these tools which are actually trying to understand when the tone of the candidate is going low, and can that be attributed to the skill, competency, or the knowledge level of that person, right? So we don't know. Sometimes what happens is, if you like a subject, your tone will be at 1%. If you don't like that subject, your tone will be 1%. But it's very tough to kind of master that. But if some people are doing that, you should be very careful about it. So here, talent branding and employer branding is just not about after interviews. It's about how do we make it. So how many times we ask this question that why are you choosing us? So a lot of times we ask, why should we choose you, right? Why are you choosing us? Then if the person doesn't have a good answer which has some elements of what you are looking at from your own company, he or she may not be the right person, because he or she might be looking at, I'm okay to interview somebody who's interviewed by 10 other companies, that's fine. But he or she should have that element of likeness to that company towards some elements of what you're looking at, be it culture, be it innovation, or be it they're very happy about your founder, they liked your recent acquisition, whatever it is, but you have to sell the story. So this is what we have built it for you. So any questions? I am 5 minutes ahead.
Over to Judy.
Vishwanath, I think very well explained the process that you followed, and I think most of these problems and solutions are something almost everybody in this room are considering at some point.
But the question is, it's not about I have this problem, can I solve this problem? This is a company. We need to understand our technology infrastructure really well,
right.
Because what happens is, there was a recent survey done by Gartner. They said that 78% of HR tools that are sold to the companies were actually not required by the same companies, right? So you have to wear a hat of, this is my exact problem, this is where the data is coming from, this is how the data is flowing from these tools, this is where I need an AI. So that kind of knowledge, functional knowledge, has to be there to get a good tool. Otherwise, we will make the same mistake other companies are doing.
That's true. So if you see, starting from the sourcing aspect, which we spoke about earlier, and then you talk about fraud detection, and then you're talking about voice, the very interesting concept that you brought about in interview intelligence limitations. Every organization is looking at it in terms of, there are multiple tools out in the market. Some sell the entire portfolio, some sell just a piece of it, and organizations are also looking at something which will suit them, right? And there's a lot of selling that these organizations need to do, so that, while the actual problem sits with talent acquisition, right? Because this is the team which is getting burnt out. This is the team which does 100 interviews to get you that 5 selects. So it's all about how you make their lives easier, and how can you do it with one solution, right from hire to retire, and all of this falls into that line.
So if the question is there one solution today? Answer is no, because there are 3 companies that I cannot mention the name, because then I'll start selling that company. They're extremely good at sourcing and screening.
Yeah.
Extremely good. Their models cannot be even questioned today, right? Now there is another company who actually manages their post-offer management really, really well. It gives you signals to you that this is the time in the day the person is talking to people, and this is the time when you have to make a mind presence to that person. So there are solutions, but I have not seen a single company doing everything. I'm hoping that 2029, which is a 3-year down the line, something will come up, but I have not seen personally, and I would like to learn from somebody if they've seen something which is completely, like I put the job description here, I have 4 candidates that I can make an offer to.
Yeah, I think it's a journey.
Yeah,
Another 3 years.
But there is a lot happening today. In fact, now recruiters are starting to think about a very interesting concept of, I understand that I have to be a business partner. I understand that I have to understand the company, but then how well I understand the candidate is what they're spending more time today. In fact, when I talk to at least 8 or 10 recruiters in my survey or research, they say that we are trying to understand the candidate better, because that will take care of half of our job, because we know whether the person will join or not. Spending time more at the initial stage is very good. I like the idea of having the AI interview first, but I am a strong believer of first interview should be personal interview, because you can also do the selling that you asked in the last question. I think that's important. So a lot of people, they may not know, they may not need to be sold about a company like a Microsoft or a Google, but then you need to sell the Google's role that particular time, what that person is doing, so that they understand the whole ecosystem, what is their role that they're playing in that part of the.
talent acquisition as a function, accepting and learning to grow with it.
Absolutely.
The actual gap is there. I think organizations are willing to invest, they want to invest, but how open and accepting are we as a function to scale to be there?
Yeah, and
That's
there
the
is a
gap
lot
that
of
needs-
investment happening from the individuals also, because they are scared that AI will take their job, so they are understanding as a recruiter what are the 10 AI skills that I need to learn to make sure that I am still present. That is making themselves to actually be relevant to this industry.
True, that's true. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You mentioned skill-based hiring. Okay. Step back a little bit. I'm really sold to your idea. Good one. Okay. But there are org structures, there are roles, there are JDs, and this is how, we've been
Yes, sir.
operating, right? Skill-based hiring. What is your perspective? There will be enough skills. You'll go for specific skills, but it could sit in multiple levels and multiple functions across org structure, right? So do you think you'll get what you want by skill-based hiring? I just
No.
need your perspective.
No, I don't think so. You'll get what you. If you're just going by skill-based this thing, I don't think so. You'll get what you wanted. In fact, one of the Harvard research said that they wanted to go beyond the skill-based interviews to a concept called as experience in those years. You can say that I'm a full-stack developer with 7 years of experience, but if somebody can do the same kind of work as a fresher, they are getting hired today. So I think it's important to understand what you have learned in those years than what you know as such. So I believe skill plus competency plus all other things are important when you're looking at it. If you just go by skills, you may go wrong because a person may not understand the context, which is also a parallel to prompt engineering, context engineering.
Thank you.
Thank you.